In this episode of Life, we're going to talk about how to balance being an entrepreneur, a mother, a wife, and still owning our feminine energy and really knowing our self-acceptance. Now, in our last episode, we talked about feminine energy and masculine energy. Because as I had shared with you, I feel that in all my years of travels, so many women had lost that feminine energy, right? We stay so masculine. We don't need anybody's help. We can do it all. But we end up feeling very lonely. And so make sure if you haven't, you go back and watch the last episode. Because now I really want to focus our energy on self-acceptance, really owning our messy, imperfect, perfect self. Because I think it's so important that not only do we have an amazing business plan, but a life plan. And this is part of that holistic balance. So I am very excited to bring back as a special guest again, Jade Hernandez. Jade is a dating expert. She's also a relationship and intimacy expert. And I've been able to watch her be able to help hundreds of women be able to have that self-acceptance and really own themselves again. But Jade, if you wouldn't mind for the audience, would you share just a little bit more about what you do? And then we'll really go into our topic for the day.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
I help women, men, and couples with their relationships. So I really help them deepen their relationship and help bridge the communication gaps between male and female dynamics and really get them comfortable in being themselves so that they show up authentically in their relationship. And that really is what bridges the connection and intimacy.
Yeah, and I love what you said, just showing up and being their authentic self, not being somebody else whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Now, if you wouldn't mind, because I know this is near and dear to your heart, I'd love for you to share with everybody a little bit of how do you show up authentically, but most importantly, balance being that entrepreneur, that mother, because I know you are a new wife yourself and also a stepmom, a business owner and entrepreneur yourself, and plus everything that you do, but really sharing with the audience how you end up balancing that, keeping that relationship strong, because it takes work. I mean, I know that, yeah.
So I make myself a priority first because I know that when I show up for myself and when I'm taking care of myself, I'm much more of a better businesswoman, I'm a much better partner, I'm a much better mother. So I don't have, because I value that so much, I make it a priority. And then, you know, I've done a lot of inner work on myself to get really comfortable in my own skin. So I've, you know, faced my weaknesses, I faced my fears, my doubts, my insecurities. And instead of like bypassing or dismissing them, thinking that they're a weakness, I really just try to better understand them. Like, where does this come from? And, you know, how do I learn to respond from this? Because it's not, like, my past will never go away, but it's about learning how to respond when I am triggered by it rather than react, right? Because when I react, I'm just reacting and I'm really pushing love away and pushing connection and pushing intimacy, even from myself. So I just try and like really become my own best friend and know myself inside and out. And then through that, I have a better awareness of actually who I am when I show up professionally and who I am when I'm, you know, with my personal and close friends, and who I am as a mother and like my role in that, and who I am as a wife and partner. And they're all different, which is a great thing. So I think that's the other thing is, you know, we're not one person. I mean, women are very complex beings. And so we have multiple personalities and strengths and weaknesses, and we bring those out, you know, very differently in each role that we play.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you just hit on it as well, is that self-acceptance and putting ourselves first. Because self-acceptance, what I've noticed over the years is sometimes, you know, I know you do a lot of speaking, I do a lot of speaking, and women will look at us and they'll say, oh, they have it all together. And if I look like her, if I was her, I would be more self-confident. And I just, you know, so passionate, I know you are as well, and I'd love to have you expand on it. It's just women owning who they are in their skin. You know, that none of our lives are perfect. They all have different dynamics and messiness. I have plenty of mess in my life that I've just had to own and just be. So could you share with them, like, where could they start just accepting who they are, that they are perfect, imperfectly, wonderful life, and really how you help your clients through that?
So one of the exercises I have my clients do is to have them honor their feelings and their emotions for the day. So when they wake up, one of the first things that they should be asking themselves, and same thing with the viewers, is how am I feeling today? So if you're feeling off, to really honor that. So for example, when I'm feeling down or just maybe a bit sad, I make sure that I wear all black that day. So I just really honor it and just get myself in it. So I get really comfortable in it. I don't judge it. I just kind of go through the day just wearing all black. I'll wear my eyeliner will be darker. I'll listen to really sad music, and then almost instantly, 24 hours later, because I've allowed myself to express that and to really be with myself, the next day I feel completely different. And so I think that's just one of the, an easy, applicable exercise that they can do is just asking themselves every day, how do I feel? And then just be that. So if I am feeling sexy, I'm going to wear something sexier. If I'm feeling super confident, then I'm going to wear probably something tighter. If I'm feeling bloated, or just not really myself, then I'm going to wear looser clothes. I'm just going to really honor that for myself.
Yeah, and I don't think that we do that enough as women, right? We give to everybody else. We're worried about them that we don't even ask ourselves, how am I feeling?
Right.
Right, and just owning it, knowing that it's okay to have a bad day.
Right. And I think that, with that word self-acceptance, it's the same thing, right? So if I feel like I have to look like I'm perfect, right? So even though I'm having a poor day, a bad day or whatever, and I have to still feel like I have to put this front for everyone else, I'm not really accepting, so I'm actually dishonoring how I'm feeling and how I am. But then also, again, it kind of disconnects other people from being able to connect with you, because each and every one of us has had bad days, and we don't always feel 100%. And so if I were to be like, Tracey, how was your day today? And you're like, you know what? Not really that well, or it's okay. I would respect that so much more, because then it would allow me to really be there for you and be like, oh, well, what's wrong? How can I support you? Oh, I'm so sorry that happened. Instead of you being like, oh, everything's fine.
Right.
And then we've just missed this great opportunity to really connect with each other.
Right, because how many times have we said that? Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's all good. Right? I've done that so many times. I'd love to have everybody share with everybody as well a great activity. I know that you shared with me is something you do in the morning as well. And you were talking about just asking yourself, not only what do I want and how do I own that, but what do I need in the next 10 to 15 minutes? I love when you said, sometimes I just want to look out the window. Sometimes I just want to read, just having a couple moments just for ourselves and owning that and setting up our day. But I'd love for you to share with it, because it's been really powerful.
Sure. So just recently, I noticed that when I wake up in the morning, I tend to just grab my phone, right, because the alarm set off, and then I immediately check Facebook or Instagram. And I noticed that just kind of put me into this anxiety-ridden, rat race type of what did I miss, right? Fear of missing out. And so I took a step back, and actually I just did this week. So I've been doing it for, the past 5 days, and it's been a huge game changer for me. So now I've just changed my habit. So now when I wake up in the morning, I of course let the alarm go. So I pick up my phone, set the alarm off, and then I don't check Facebook or Instagram. I don't check my emails at all. And I just go straight and get my coffee, and I enjoy my coffee, open up the blinds, start watching the sun come up, and then I ask myself, so after I've had a couple of silent moments to myself, I then ask myself, okay, what is it that you want to do? And sometimes it's listen to a podcast, sometimes it's to research, a particular subject that I'm interested in, sometimes it's to read, sometimes it's just to do nothing and continue, looking out the window. And what I found out, or what I'm finding out, is that I actually start off the day for me instead of, I guess for others, trying to, or being focused or distracted by what other people are doing. Is I actually focus the attention right back to me and what it is that I need to do. And then also, again, honoring what it is that I want in that particular moment before jumping back into real life, I guess.
Yeah, I love that, because as I've said, self-care is not selfish. Having that 10 to 15 minutes is really a good thing. As women, I think we're natural nurturers. We're so worried about everybody else. But I think we're learning, and especially, with you being an expert, is when we're so worried about everybody else, the relationships and our lives then aren't that healthy.
Right.
Right. And So if we will wrap this up here, but I'd love for you to give one more tip, because I know so many times we just aren't acceptant. We just don't feel like ourselves. I've had women say, I feel like I'm trapped in a body that's not mine. I've let the relationship, in my, the relationship in my life fall apart. Like, where do I start to even mend that? So if you could maybe give a tip on where to even start, because I know we definitely need to start with ourselves.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you would share to help mend that?
So I believe the lone wolf mentality has gone to the wayside. Like, whereas before we used to think that we could just do it all on our own. We can fix ourselves, we can find, we can just do it all on our own. And what I'm learning is that that's not true anymore, right? So I think support is one of the biggest things to self-acceptance and loving yourself. So whether that's, grabbing a book and starting to read a book about vulnerability or confidence or learning how to love yourself, or, creating stronger relationships with your girlfriends where you start becoming more vulnerable and real with them, or even doing inner work with like a therapist or a coach. I always think that that's, one of the biggest gifts that you can give yourself. So whether, if you can't afford, obviously, to talk to someone professionally, then there's so much information out there, and books and podcasts, to just really self-reflect and answer questions that you've never asked yourself.
Yeah, it's super important. I know, Jade, you have an amazing Instagram. I follow it all the time. I'm just always inspired by your knowledge and those aha moments. And to be quite frank with you, I'm always looking at everybody's comments below it. And you just have that ability for people just to think differently. So I'm just going to say this, like you said, read, invest in yourself. Definitely follow Jade on Instagram. Follow here at the bottom. We have her Instagram, because it's pretty incredible. So, I just want to thank you. And first of all, thank you for your work. Thank you for, owning yourself, and, the both of us talk, owning your messy and perfect self that is now able to be relatable to so many hundreds of thousands of women, and being here and just giving to everybody like you have. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
You're welcome. In our next episode of Life, we are now starting to get into the holidays. So we are going to talk about eliminating and delegating. Because as women, we've heard, Jade's shared, we need to own our femininity. We need to put ourselves first. Guess what? We don't have to always be masculine and say we can do it all. We need to learn the confidence how to eliminate and delegate so that we can be better to ourselves and the relationships in our life. So until then, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.